So on that note, I have someone else that I'd like to go ahead and pull into the green room here. And we're going to start by bringing Tish in. Tish, welcome, welcome, welcome. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Excellent. All right.
Excellent.
What's your
So
question?
I have a question.
Okay.
I'm a new Scrum Master, took
Mm-hmm.
your class, loved it, feel passionate about going in this direction.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to apply for jobs.
Yeah.
Can you tell me anything about how to instill confidence in any employer who might consider hiring a new Scrum Master? I've noticed as I've been applying for a large volume of jobs because I need to find a job.
Mm-hmm.
They're asking how many sprints have you completed and other things that make me feel like they want someone with vast experience, even if the job title says junior Scrum Master.
Well, I would say to you, a lot of times when it comes down to job recs, these job descriptions, they always ask for the sun, the moon, and all the stars. A lot of times, what they're trying to do is get a good fit in, get a good person that's going to fit well with their culture, with their team, and everything else. I believe you're already doing some of the things that you decided to do. You attended that Brandon Land that I talked about before, which turned out to be some good things to do on LinkedIn, and with your resume stuff like that. A lot of the tricks is getting past filters when it comes to recruiters. And if you're able to get past filters, then you're going to be in a good position when it comes down to organizations that are looking for somebody who's not so experienced, looking for somebody that's willing to grow with them, but I would also think to myself that, hey, most of these jobs aren't going to want me, but let me find the ones that I really, really desire, the ones that I feel like I really, really fit into. And even though you may not have done quote unquote Scrum, I
Mhm.
guarantee you've done some Agilist or Scrum type stuff in your life. If you think about the most basic definition of Scrum, um, a plan time box, you evaluate the plan along the way, and you get to the end and you review the product and the process and you start all over. You've probably
Sure.
done that someplace else in your past. You may have not called it a sprint, but it's something that you've done. Is the question is, can you translate your other experience and make sure that they can see that your other experience is valuable and will be valuable to them, even though it wasn't necessarily specifically called Scrum. So I start thinking about how I can position my resume to get in front of them so then I can at least get the interview. Because the
Sure.
biggest part is getting the interview. Once you get the interview, then it's just about selling yourself at that point, right? I find that one of the
Right.
biggest problems that we have is in selling ourselves. And one of the good things is volunteering helps. Going through a certain amount of sprints, especially when you have volunteered, is going to be help. Pushing that volunteerism, associating yourself with people that are related to Scrum, associating yourself with events that are related to Scrum. So, like finding a way to join a Scrum conference in some kind of way, that
Mhm.
would be a good thing. And I'm not talking about being a speaker. You don't have to be a speaker at these things to say you attended this and you've attended that and you've been involved in a meetup group and the meetup group is doing this and the meetup group is running sprints and the meetup group is doing this and we've done that. And those kind of things are going to be helpful for you when it comes to having that conversation. So, what I'm more worried about for you is getting past the filters, getting the interview, and getting the conversation. If you can get to the conversation, you can steal it because at that point, all you got to do is just show them how enthusiastic you are about this and how you're involved in certain things and how that's going to help them ultimately with you being on the ground doing the scrum. You take an example like this right now. You're called into a call-in show. How many people who are new to Scrum have done that? Have sought out advice? Not
Sure.
a whole lot. Okay? And so that already helps you to stand out as a person that's eager to learn, eager to enjoy. Now, one thing that I would always say to you is make sure you interview them. You know, when you have that first interview, like for me, When I think about my interviews, especially when I was doing a lot of them back in the day, right? I always would think of my first interview as a practice interview. Like the first one's gonna be a practice one, right? But one of the main things that I would do is get to the end of that interview and ask them, you know, you have a perfect person that you're thinking about for this job. Can you tell me some of the characteristics of that perfect person? I am trying to get them to give me more information to help me understand better. And sometimes you may even know whether it was a good fit for you or not. But one thing people will do is they'll be slightly or kindly honest with you if you actually ask them a question. So if you get that opportunity, I definitely would be asking a couple questions that help me to get better, help me to get better
Sure.
for the next interview. So I know one thing: I don't have any control over them picking me. I don't. But all I need to do is get one to pick me, and I'm good. I get one to pick me, I'm good. Because then I can piggyback on everything else, right? When I left, I ain't lying to you. When I say I ain't lying to you, I ain't lying to you. When I left, when I got into IT, and I worked for Experian for 6 months, became employee of the month. The last month I was there, and I jumped ship and went to Allstate. 6 months. I ain't lying to you. The reason why I did that is because I wasn't, I knew what I wanted. I knew where I was trying to go. I knew what I needed to have around me. And even though I may be the perfect fit for you at that time, it is my job to take care of my career. And so literally 6 months later, I left. No joke. When you look at my consulting career, it's a bunch of 6 month stuff. It's a whole lot of it's some really good 6 month things in there, because when I feel like I'm not growing anymore, it's time for me to go. And so it's one of those things where I want to say to you, you got to get past those filters. So do those things to make sure that your resume is as good as it can be. And that brand and land thing would help you. There are some other resources out there that can help you with that as well. I am going to be putting some things in the unfit community that will help people, the unfiltered community. I said unfit, Scrum fit, unfit, the unfiltered community that will help out in terms of finding jobs. So I plan to put more of that stuff out there because I've been working diligently on things for this past month. So I believe that I will have some resources available for you as well. But if you've worked on that resume, you've made that resume excellent. Now it is just your time to practice on getting that job. Practice on getting in front of people. Practice those interviewing skills. Make sure that when you have interviewed, you make sure that you interview them back to understand and to make yourself better. Because I never think to myself, I've landed this job. I always think to myself, I've probably landed this. They probably stupid enough not to go with me, but that's okay. Let me ask them some things to make myself better for the next group that comes toward me, right? Because look,
Sure.
I'm gonna tell you how I think about myself, Tish, and I want you to think about yourself the same way. This is serious, right? Literally, I say to myself, and people who know me know this about me: get me while I'm cheap. Because when I'm not cheap, I'm charging a real fee.
I love that.
Get me while I'm cheap. I'm telling you, this is how I think it's ridiculous. Like when I say to you, when I think it's ridiculous, I think it's ridiculous. But that's exactly how I think. I say you better get me while I'm cheap, and I'm telling you, when I say that to you, I kid you not. I kid you not. I mean, I worked at Allstate literally for like 4 years, and I really tried to get a promotion. They would not give me a promotion. They wouldn't, and I left there. And when I was done at State Farm, they tried to hire me, like for like 3 times what I was earning there, almost 3 times, like 2.5 times what I was earning there. And I was like, no, you had the opportunity. And all I really wanted was a $10,000 increase. I would have been, I would
Yeah.
not be in this position right now because I would be an all stater for life right now. Because that's what I thought. Because literally the first day I was there, I met the president of the company. I don't know how I met him, but he came down to the group for some strange reason, and I met the president of the company. I was just like, this is my company. No question. I am destined to be here. And, man, I worked there for years, man, and I couldn't get a $10,000 increase in my salary, right? And I decided to leave. And, literally 2.5 years later, 2 years later, they came to me like, hey, we'll give you double and a half. And I was like, no, I'm moving on. And
I love
so
it.
it's nice to be able to turn things down like that, but I want you to
Yeah.
position yourself the same way. I want you to think
Sure.
right now, people are going to get you at a nice rate, and that's okay. You put your time in, you get your work in. And once you get your work in, you'll be good to go. But make sure you interview them along the way. But other than that, I think you got it. I know you're doing things outside of, this conversation. So keep doing that stuff. You have questions, reach out, you know. Other than that, hopefully that helps. Any other questions?
No, that helps a lot. And I was putting together two or three questions I might want to ask in a way of interviewing them back. I have an interview coming up hopefully in a few days, and that
Okay.
was the exact question I wanted to ask.
Yeah, well, I would
So,
say to you that to make sure you ask that question, and I would say that once I open up this unfiltered community, bring those kind of questions to the unfiltered community because I think I'm going to create a view group around interviewing and job hunting. So, and then people can help other people because I'm trying to get people to pay it forward. So it's one of those things where that will be some helpful information for people in the group. So I'm looking forward to seeing you in that group and seeing and working with you on other stuff in the future, Tish.
nice. All right. Thank you.
I appreciate you. You have a good one, okay?
All right.
All right.